Okay, so this episode we're going to try something a little different. Um, this is the Commander code, well, Crafty 4.0 now. Codename Commander, I guess, is what we should have said. But I figured you guys would maybe like to see some of what goes into creating a program um, and the things that are required. I'm going to cancel this out and clear it. So I'm using PyCharm because PyCharm's amazing and it's free. Uh, and what we're working on now is, well, what I'm working on right now is the historical data. I have a stats class that is basically it's kind of complicated, but I'll try to explain what goes on. So, excuse me, I always have a sinus infection. I swear every time I make a video. So what we're gonna do here is so this is the main file that Crafty runs, and it likes two spaces there. Um, so, it's going to do its things. There's some argument parsing here. The dash I will ignore the session.lock file. I need to change that. Because that way we prevent, you see right here, the session lock file. This will prevent Crafty from running twice or 30 times, if it sees this file there, unless you override it with a dash I. A dash V, of course, would be verbose. And then things are done there. I'm not going to get into it all. But the task manager is part of our new scheduling setup. The scheduler that was broken, broken in Crafty 3.2. It was loaded with server objects, and as those objects would get unloaded, the scheduler would crash and bad things happen. So instead, we have this task manager here, and what we do with this task manager is we start the web server and we start our scheduler. And starting the scheduler basically just simply says we're starting it, and then it starts a thread that is completely separate because Python can be multi-threaded. Um, and that's kind of how it works. We also have one for the web server. We eventually will have some other things in here, like there's a kill switch monitor in here. Um, Basically, the way that Crafty knows to exit from now on will be exit.txt. If that file gets created in the root directory, then Crafty will go ahead and start doing a graceful exit. It will gracefully shut down all of our stuff, right? Um, Now, if I'm not mistaken, I gotta do something else in here. Now that I'm thinking about it, just give me 2 seconds here. So, Commander, no, that's not in Control, no, because it's not in there yet, is it? No, it's not. It's perfectly okay for you to talk to yourself while you program. Just gonna go ahead and put that out there. It's okay to ask questions like, what did I do there? It's totally okay to do that. If you ever catch yourself going, what? Um, and like having a full-on blown conversation with yourself, you may want to seek help, or maybe just step away from the computer for a while. So anyway, this controller object here, we're going to use down here, and we're going to say controller dot stop all servers, and that will stop all the servers. I knew I was missing something. It's because I haven't put the controller in here yet. But anyway, the stop all servers will go through and actually iterate over all the running servers, and will automatically stop them for X in servers. I know it's an S, but I always say X. And then it basically gets it and it shuts them down, and it tries to basically it tries for every 2 seconds to see if it's still running. If it is, then we keep how long this is going. And if it's over, um, well, that's so X is 60, but it's every 2 seconds. So actually, because it's every 2 seconds down here, it's actually 120 seconds. So if it's been over 2 minutes, we're going to assume that the process is just locked up, and we're going to kill it. Um, and then go on and clean things up and do the things. Um, and then we wait 2 seconds before we iterate again. Anyway, I went completely off track. So while I was building out the stats and stuff, we have this model here. Models are database tables, and we have the host stats. We're going to insert a record, boot time, CPU usage, cores, and all this stuff. We get all this from earlier up in here. There's more code up there, but basically this is going to go through and insert that data into our database here. And as you see, I've let it go for a while. Um, my goodness, it's using 8 gig. Something's not right with that. I don't know what, but I'll figure it out because it shouldn't have been running. Maybe it was. Who knows? Oh, good lord, 10 gig. Good lord, what happened? Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I just let it run, and I kept starting it over and over and over again and never shutting it down. So I bet you. No, no, they're all good. We don't have that many. Anything in paper? No? Okay, never mind. We have no processes. I don't know what the heck it's looking at. I'll figure that later. Oh, wait a minute. This is host usage. So this isn't the actual Java process. This is actually my machine. Uh, and yeah, that's about right. I'm using 9 gig. Chrome's open, so that's 9 gigs of it right there. Anyway, I'm sorry. I go on tangents. You probably figured this out by now. Anyway, so this data here gets inserted, and there's a time that gets kept track of. And so then I was like, well, we don't want that to grow exponentially forever, do we? So I was like, well, now is time now. And then we basically say last week would be now uh, minus 7 days. So 1 week back. And then stats, you're going to delete where the host stats time is less than, and I know it's confusing, but less than is behind last week. And then you execute the query, and it's good. And yay, wonderful. But what about this number here? Some people might want longer than 7 days. Um, Stats are collected every 10 seconds, so I would assume that someone would not want it to be 7 days. Maybe a day. But maybe someone wants a year. I don't know. Please don't make it a year. Please. That's a lot of seconds. Anyway, so I'm going to create a spot for that, and I thought that would be cool for me to show you guys how that works. So Crafty settings is going to be my new table essentially, and there's our max history, right? And we're going to just save that the way it is, and then we make another class, which is a subclass called meta, and table name. Guess what it does? Equals, and this will be Crafty settings. Okay, so, and the old Crafty had a settings as well, but this is a complete rewrite from scratch, so I'm being very careful to not just copy and paste code without asking the questions of, is this needed? Can this be improved? Can it not be improved? Was I a genius? I probably wasn't. So, this is completely a rewrite. Yeah, I have, the old Crafty here and a couple other Commander stuff I was working on a while back. Pay no attention to the amount of things open at the moment. That's why I'm using 9 gig. Anyway, so this is a new table, and what we're going to do is we're going to have to make this table. So we're going to say create tables. This is the installer class, and it looks to see if there's a fish install, and basically all it does is check to see if this SQLite file is there, and if it's there, then it assumes it's not a fresh install. And so it would create the tables and do default settings. But seeing as how I just created a table from the fly, which, you know what, I need to go here. I didn't actually create the table yet, did I? So Crafty settings is a table. And so this is the DB builder. This is just a cute little class that I wrote, and I named it installer. So basically this variable here creates this object, which is this class. And classes are basically just blueprints for objects of things that you want in them. Think of them as like giant variables that also are containers. That's probably a good way to describe it. Kind of like a Docker container, where everything's kind of compartmentalized, all the memories together, all the functions are together, and variables stay together for the most part. I mean, you can break them out, but with globals, I'm getting way in the weeds. Um, anyway, so database, create tables, and this database, of course, is created way up here. And there it is. So database equals our SQLite database. We grab our path out of the helper. I try really hard not to hard code names, um, except in one spot, like in a variable, because of past experiences in my life. Um, yeah, never, if you can, never really hard code file paths or database names. Uh, there's reasons, trust me. But anyway, so yeah, so this will create that database table. And if you look here, we go into database structure and we see that there's not a Crafty settings here. So we're going to hide that. And we're going to go ahead and start Crafty. And notice I have that -I because of the fact that this session lock is still there because I didn't exit it correctly. Ooh, I broke it. I broke it bad. What? See, you say what all the time. Create tables, da-da-da-da, and it doesn't like table name. Why didn't it like table name? Did I not say it correctly? Did I not spell something correctly? That's highly probable. That looks identical. I don't see the problem. I mean, really, it's identical. Maybe it doesn't like this. That shouldn't really matter, though. Default is 7. It's an integer field. Max history, age. Makes sense. It should be fine. Nothing else is calling it, per se. Well, we try it again and see what happens. Create tables, blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't like that. Modules key equals names. This is one of the fun things about working with modules. Has no attribute meta. Go away. But it's identical. Like, you didn't have a problem with the others. What would be the problem here? Oh, I'm an idiot. Yep, I'm an idiot. So you need to have this base model here because that's how it actually ties everything together is to this model, which then is the super model of this model, which is part of the Peewee package. So if you don't have that, it doesn't know what Crafty settings is. So in this case, this has no attribute meta is correct because it didn't have the base model, which is a subset of the model. I'm getting in the weeds. Anyway, so boom, there we go. Everything's great now. And if we look here and hit F5, look at that. We got Crafty settings right there. And we got an automagic ID and a max history. So we'll go here and we will create an exit.txt and Crafty will close down correctly. These files, those files disappear. These will stay open because the database is still open here. So they'll close out once I close that out. But anyway, so now we have this wonderful max age thing here. We can go to our task manager now, and we can say, where's it at? Well, I guess we haven't used it from here yet. Just one moment. My lovely daughter is here. I'm going to pause. And now my daughter is leaving. So from app.classes.shared, this is a shared thing, models, and then we're going to import the DB shortcuts. Now, what is DB shortcuts? Well, as the name implies, there are a bunch of shortcuts that I made. And what we're going to do in this case is we're going to define a new function, and this will be get max history age. Okay, query equals. Um, this probably doesn't exist at the moment. Oh, it would because it's already there. Yeah. So crafty settings dot get by ID 1, because there's only going to ever be one. We're never going to have multiple rows, because all the settings will just be in one spot. So, you know what? This is a bad way to do it. This is way complicated. And I said that I wouldn't do this time around. The settings and stuff we're not going to put there. So let me undo everything that I just did. And this happens often when you're creating stuff on the fly here. So we did that, we did that. Let's go back to our main and let's get rid of this. And let's go back to our models again and go to that create down here. There it is. It's going to have an error because that doesn't exist. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, why are you getting rid of that? So I have this config.ini file that I was working on, trying to make the master config for things. And history max age equals 7. The cool thing about ini is they can have comments. Max history in days. History is that's fine. Just yes, that works. So I have this handy dandy feature. We're gonna get rid of that too. I have this helper function that I've written, and we're gonna go down here to where is our. You know what? I can make this a variable as well. I had a thing. Where is it? It's in stats. I'm a moron. Okay, so this right here needs to change. And we're going to say max age equals helper.getSettings. Okay, and the section, in this case, the section was crafty, right? So crafty. And the key that we are looking for inside our config ini is history max age. And you might be asking yourself, well, maybe you're not, but you could be asking yourself, well, Phil, why wouldn't you put that in the database? It just makes sense. Well, that's true. However, one of the things I'm trying to do as a future idea is I want Crafty to be deployable. I want you to be able to create this ini file and throw it in the directory, and when you install Crafty, it'll look for that config ini and automatically pick up all these nice settings so that you can easily roll this out to multiple servers. And the reasoning behind that is I'm sure that many people are wanting to run this across possibly multiple servers. Maybe you have a hosting company and you want to be able to deploy this. The other thing is I'm future-proofing for when we do upgrades, because I would love for the upgrades to be independent of the database. Databases should be for historical data, and if you want to migrate, that's fine. But if we ever run into a situation where you can't migrate, ini files are much easier to work with. Plus, I'm also thinking about making it so that users are exportable, and that way you can import them when you upgrade Commander or Crafty. I'll get them too confused. Eventually I'll stop. So anyway, the max age is going to be that, and let's just print that just to see what it could be, right? Make sure that it works. If it comes back as false, then it's broken. And we have to wait 10 seconds because this is going to execute every 10 seconds per the task commander thingy. I'm running out of coffee. Okay, so you see 7 there. That's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, again, one of these terminals, Yes, that's one. So we're going to exit. And look, it stopped all the servers. Isn't that cool? Oh, poop. My wife is calling me. I must pause. This is a really shoddy video, I'm sure. We're already 20 minutes in, and it must feel like years for you guys. Anyway, so if you've gone this far, I will come up with a present that you can see. Yes, I will give you something for making it this long in the video, listening to my rambling. Anyway, so the max age here we see is 7. And so we are going to go ahead and go here, and we'll say max age, right? And so now it is a configurable thing that is done there. Now the next question, right? Because if we go to our task manager here and we say start stats recording, we see every 10 seconds, right? And maybe that's what our default is, but let's see. What if people want it to be a little slower, right? So let's make another setting real fast. And this setting will say stats collection delay 10. Okay, so stats collection delay is 10. We'll go back to our task manager here, and we'll say stats frequency. You know what? That's a much better name for it than this. That makes no sense. Stats update frequency. There we go. There. English. You can use it, I promise. So stats frequency is that. And again, we're going to use my helper object here. We're going to say get settings. And the setting is, and yes, I know that I could have typed it. However, there comes a point when you're in your programming experience that you decide that you are human, and human makes errors. And because humans make errors, especially typos, if you've ever seen anything I've typed, you know that I do typos. And therefore, you copy paste as much as possible, because that way you won't mess up. I mean, I'm still going to mess up because that happens. But anyway, so we'll set that to that now. And now it works. And you may be wondering, how does this get setting thing work? So I'm glad you asked, or in this case, you probably didn't, but I'm going to take you on a journey anyway. So we're going to go to get settings. And what this does is it's going to load up config parser. Well, actually, it's going to try to. If it fails, then bad things happen. As you see, it's unable to read, and then it will throw an error and then return false. But in this case, if our config has the option, right, and then selection and key, then we're going to return that selection and key. If it does not, then it breaks out of this and it comes down to this return false. There's a common phrase called being Pythonic, and one of the things that is different about Python, or at least the way people do Python, is you'll notice there isn't a else function here, and you'll notice that I didn't say return false because it's not needed. And I say that because if it's correct, then it'll return here. Otherwise, it will continue processing past this try. It'll skip the exception because there was no error, and it will hit return false. So why should I have it twice? I can just have it once. Then that way you have a nice unified thing. Now you could return false, and you could honestly return none. None as a data type. It's strictly a matter of preference. There's a good case for false. There's a good case for none. Both of them could be easily checked for by saying is not none or is not, just is not, and then the variable name. But anyway, I'm going to get out of that. So here we're going to update, and we're going to do this. And here, you know what? Let's do some logging, right? Logging.info, stats collection frequency set to, look, I'm typing like big gaming. He's going to want to kill me when he hears that. He probably won't even listen to the video. He won't make it this far. We're at 24 minutes. Yeah, he's already fallen asleep. Anyway, set to blah. Okay, so this is a cool little thing, and this is it's like string replacement, but in 3.0, Python 3, they kind of got rid of the whole string replacement, and it's better to do format. So you can take this as a placeholder. And basically the first thing you put in here says stats update frequency. And so what'll happen is you'll see stats collection frequency set to, and this will get replaced with whatever this variable is. Now you could get fancy and actually name this, and then say stats equal that. And that's possibly more correct, but I'm lazy. I don't often do that. You know what? This might be something we actually want to put into the console as well. So um, one of the cool things I did with Crafty, one of the few moments of geniuses that I had, was I made this nice little console class. And basically what this does is it imports a couple cool little things for the colors. And I've created like magenta and cyan, and basically this just simply does print the message in whatever color. And then I made this debug here so that it grabs the date and it says crafty and then the info and then date with tabs and all that cool stuff. So you should really look at the code. I'm not saying that you'll learn anything from it, but you'll definitely learn of what things not to do because I'm horrible. And anyone who tells you that they're a genius programmer probably isn't. I mean, I know a few geniuses. I'm not going to go into a tirade, I promise. But I know a guy who actually programs so well that he actually spoke at the UN. Um, and he's an amazing dude. He really is. I'm not going to go into it though. I promise I'll stop right now. Yeah, no more. Um, so now when we run our Python program, it'll break because Phil didn't do something right. Uh, it's a string, and you can't do that. See, this is a thing. So magic typing isn't great. So now we're going to wrap this in the init, and therefore it's going to force it to be an integer, and now it won't crash, and it'll say uh, stats collection frequency set to 10. To 10 what? God, you idiot. Seconds. Seconds. Oh, look, it broke. I love it. Oh, max age, because it also is not a, it also was not wrapped as an integer, and the helper function assumes that it comes back as a string. So we'll wait a few more seconds here. Isn't debugging fun? So this should go. We're going to wait a few seconds for it to do its collection thing. Okay, so it launched the test server, which secret funny thing is that that actually doesn't work. It does work in real life, but just saying Java with no commands, paper.jar, it doesn't actually work. And I don't have the crash detection built in yet, so it doesn't know that it crashed, and therefore it doesn't have a problem. So anyway, cool. All these things obviously worked, and we haven't crashed. That's an indication that things are going well. And so now we will simply do which one of these? I got it on the first try. That's like plugging in the USB the first time. It never happens. So Crafty shutting down. Why do we have all these empty lines? I don't know. I'll fix that later. But yay, wonderful, all servers are stopped. And we're almost at the 30-minute mark. So this is a good time for me to shut up and for us to stop this video. So that's a little bit into how development of Crafty works. And I promised you, that's right, if you made it this far, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into something. That's right, I promised that, didn't I? So we're going to, voila. So this is actual real data. This is like pulled real time. No, it's not because the server's down, because you're a moron and you closed it, Philip. Try that again. One of these Chrome tabs, I choose you. Okay, so now we see the processor usage and memory usage and number of servers online. This is all fake, by the way, but it won't be soon because soon I'm getting data now, so it's all working in there. So one of the cool things is you see this little icon here. All these will have icons soon, and that way when you collapse it, I broke the Java. I broke the Java. I broke the Java. I fixed the Java there. I hate Java. I really do. I despise it with a passion. This isn't even Java. This is JavaScript, the red-headed stepchild of Java. Um, anyway, so I have to fix this now. I'm not sure what's broken. I broke something though. Let's come along with me on another journey and let's see what Philip broke this time. Um, maybe that one? Maybe that one? Maybe not. I don't know. Miscellaneous. Let's try that one. The miscellaneous one is always. Let's try this. Yes. Let's refresh. Hey, it worked. And now that works as well. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. So yes, these little icons here will kick out. And you see these little icons come and go. Um, I'm going to have to trim out some more of that JavaScript and change this copyright because I think RMDC is officially going to be dead. Comcast is going to send me a very large bill, and I'm not going to pay it because as a business you can do that. Um, and I can just file bankruptcy. Uh, Not saying you should do that, people. Uh, Forming a business is very expensive if you do it correctly. So some of these things are going to change. Like the plan obviously is not going to be there anymore, seeing as how we're all going free again. Profile and all that. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that stuff. I'm really just not sure. Um, these notifications here, I don't know what I'm going to do with that either. But I will tell you this. I have a secret, and I'm going to share it with my Patreons um, as a post. So it won't be in this video. But I have a secret, and eventually it will be common knowledge. But for those who are paying for Patreon, even at like the $3 mark thing, um, I will tell them the secret. There is something that is going in this panel that no other panel that I know of actually has. It's something that people are very passionate about. They, um, it is, it is a way to tell how. I'm trying to say this in a way that won't give it entirely away, but it is a way to tell server performance that people talk about all the time, but I don't know of any panel who actually gives the uh, the acronym that's a three-letter acronym that starts with a T. That's about as much of a hint as I'm going to give. Um, you should probably figure it out when you think about server speed, starts with a T, three-letter acronym, and no other panel has it. Those who are on my Patreons, you will have a better update on Friday. I'm going to try to do more videos. Today is Monday, and it is 9:51, so I have like 5 more minutes before I have to go to bed. Anyway, so that's the end of this video. We're at the 33-minute mark. Uh, Really quick selfish plug. Uh, Patreon. Yes. So if you like things that are in Crafty, um, I have a Patreon page. It'd be really nice for you to join. There's only one person right now. He's a little lonely. But you see that I actually post quite often here. Um, and there's like 3 exclusive posts already, and it's only been a week and a bit. But you get some Discord things. You get a special rank. If you go up to the next level, then you can actually submit a request that I will probably pay more attention to. And you get early access to updates, and if you go up to the next level, and you also will get a very special version of Commander that no one else, or I'm sorry, Crafty that no one else has. So anyway, that's enough of this. You can close out the video now. I greatly appreciate your patience to listen to me ramble. Hopefully you found this enlightening, and if not, just let me know that my video sucks and you're never going to watch another one, and I'll stop doing them. Maybe. Thanks.